Hey, this is Andy, and welcome to a new series of demonstration videos entitled Rhapsody Features You May Have Missed. A series of very short videos demonstrating some of the capabilities of Rhapsody that may have escaped your notice. Today, we'll be talking about standard content and stereotype based helpers. These two capabilities are kind of related, but they don't depend on each other. You can use standard content without stereotype-based helpers, and you can use stereotype-based helpers without standard content. Standard content allows you to apply modelling patterns to your model by simply applying a stereotype. Typically, you will create some sort of sub-model, typically in a profile, and associate that model with a stereotype. Then in the real model, when you apply the stereotype, that submodel is recreated. Essentially, it's doing a copy and paste into your model. Stereotype-based helpers allow you to write a helper that is automatically invoked on the application of a stereotype. So you can see how these two things might be connected. You might define a submodel that gets merged into your model, and then a helper might be invoked to rename those artifacts or to add extra connections and so on. Let's see both of those capabilities in action. Let's start with standard content. Here we have an empty model, but it has a profile loaded containing a couple of examples. Here we've defined a small model of a car. A car has a fuel tank and it has an engine and maybe a flow port showing fuel coming in. If we look in the browser, we can also see that the car block has an internal block diagram. Then we have a stereotype called car, which I can apply to any block in my model. Now that stereotype might be a new term, but it doesn't have to be. The magical artifact is this one, a dependency from the stereotype to the base artifact that I want applied, in this case the car. That dependency is stereotyped standard content. If I apply the car stereotype, then all of that standard content will be copied into the model. Let's go see that in action. Let's add a new block, my vehicle. Now, I did make the car stereotype a new term, so to apply it, I'll use the change to menu item. As soon as I do that, you'll see my vehicle now has a flow port, parts, and an internal block diagram. You can even apply multiple standard content. Here, for example, I have a stereotype taxicab. If I apply that, I'll get not only the car standard content, but also this extra license information too. I can change my vehicle to be a taxicab, and voila, extra attributes. The second example shows stereotype-based helpers. This one is a lot simpler to explain. We have a stereotype called unit. If that stereotype is applied to a block, then these helpers are called. Notice there are two properties here. The only difference being that one of them invokes a helper, and the other one invokes a helper and also passes the GUID of the element you've applied the stereotype to. The helpers in question here are plugins that have been loaded into Rhapsody in the usual way, and all they do is take the element and turn it into a unit. For example, we can see in the browser that my vehicle is not yet a unit, but if I apply the stereotype, then the helpers are called and that block is turned into a unit. So, two very powerful capabilities that provide a high degree of automation with very little effort. That's all for now. Be sure to check out the other videos in this series, covering other Rhapsody features you may have missed.